today and just kind of give you guys an overview or a brief little recap of what you guys can expect for your upcoming sophomore year. So right now you guys are in certain required core classes, right? So some of you guys are in pre-algebra, some of you guys are in algebra for math, you guys are in physical science, you guys are in freshman English, and then you guys are in freshman PE and health, okay? Those are your 4 required classes this year as freshmen. Next year as sophomores, you also have some required core classes that you have to take. Okay, the first one is English. You guys will be taking sophomore English next year because you guys do have to have 4 years of English, so you have 1 English every single year. Some of you guys are in the pre-AP or the AP track. So some of you guys, if you're taking pre-AP freshman English this year, will be taking pre-AP sophomore English next year. With that, you guys will also have to take world history next year. So currently, you guys are not in a history class, most of you. Some of you guys might be taking history electives like current events or religions in world history, and that will count towards your social studies elective that you have to have for graduation. But as sophomores, you guys will be taking world history, and then junior year, you guys will go on to take U.S. history, and then your senior year, you guys will take government, okay? But next year, sophomores, all sophomores have to enroll in world history. As far as math goes, like I said, some of you guys right now are in pre-algebra or algebra. Some of you guys are just really good at math, and some of you guys might even be in geometry, right? So all of that being said, your math class is dependent on what math class you are currently in. You should ask your math teachers what class they would recommend you for, but traditionally or typically, if you are taking pre-algebra, you will take algebra next year. If you're taking algebra, you will take geometry next year, and so on and so on.
Quite a few of you guys are in algebra. There are several different choices for geometry. So make sure you ask your teacher about that. I can think of 4 just right off the top of my head. So talk to your math teacher if you're in algebra about options for geometry and which one would be best for you.
You guys' next science class is going to be biology. So right now you guys are in physical science. Next year you guys will take biology, and then after that your science choices are up to you. But next year you guys will be taking biology as sophomores. As far as electives, your elective options expand drastically sophomore year. So some of you guys during enrollment probably came in and you were like, none of these electives sound fun, I don't want to do any of this, I don't really like these. But you guys are going to have a lot more options and a lot more different types of career fields and things like that to explore once you guys get to sophomore year. So for example, sophomore year you can take things like yearbook, accounting, or marketing if you're kind of interested in the business field and that side of things, psychology. I know I have some PE or sport heavy people. You guys can finally take team sports next year, theater, things like that. As far as our social studies electives, fine arts, speech, and STEM electives, you might want to consider getting 1 or a couple of those out of the way because those are requirements for graduation, okay? So for graduation, you guys do have to have a social studies elective, a fine arts elective,
a full year of fine arts.
Full year of fine arts. Speech, STEM, and financial literacy. So for social studies, if you're in current events or religions and world history, you're already getting that marked off, you're already getting that out of the way, okay? But if you're interested in things like psych and soc, you can take that next year, and that will knock off your social studies electives as well. As far as fine arts, like Ms. McDonald said, you guys do have to have a full year of fine arts. So if you're taking choir as a freshman, mixed choir, that will knock off your fine arts. If you're taking band as a freshman, full year, that will knock off your fine arts. For those of you guys that aren't necessarily as musically inclined, you guys can do things like woodworking, something a little bit more hands-on. Keep that fine arts requirement as well. As far as speech, if you guys don't plan on taking college credit speech, you can get speech out of the way next year as well as a sophomore, and you can take things like speech, debate, and forensics, okay? If you feel like you might eventually want to take speech for college credit, you can wait until your junior or senior year and take college credit speech then. As far as STEM is a new requirement for you guys. You guys do have to take a full year of STEM. It is an extra year of either science or math, but there are some other ways to fulfill that requirement as well. You can take Microsoft, Certification Academy, you can do engineering. Some of you guys are in that intro to engineering class right now. Advanced video production is also an option for knocking that out. Automotive, so some of you guys are in Automotive 1 right now. If you take Automotive 2 next year, you can knock off that STEM requirement as well.
On the STEM requirement, in Zello, I had to get kind of tricky And so it looks like it's in your senior year, but let's say you take robotics your sophomore year, it will grab it from your senior year. The reason it's in your senior year because for most of you it will be your fourth math or your fourth science, and so we moved it there, but there is some flexibility by that, so don't get stressed out if you see it in the senior year. You can take some of the courses early.
Okay. And then the last graduation requirement that you have to get before you can graduate is financial literacy. It's typically not recommended for sophomores to take financial literacy simply because you guys probably don't care that much about your finances right now. How many of you guys like have a job or work or like do something to earn money? Okay. So by the time you guys are juniors and seniors, those numbers of hands will go up drastically, and you guys will just be a little bit more invested into that financial literacy class. But that is also a graduation requirement. Would recommend junior and senior year, again, your numbers.
If you know you're going to want to leave for half a day your junior and senior year to do a WSU block, that is a good reason to take that financial literacy as a sophomore. So you can talk with your counselor more or your parents.
Okay, so additional graduation requirements. You guys may or may not remember this from when we came in and talked to your guys' freshman advisors at the beginning of the school year, but we did talk about how you guys are going to have some additional like post-secondary assets is what we call them. So there are kind of two categories. There is like the career and the real world examples, but then there's also the academic examples. From this list, you have to have two. Okay? The ones that are kind of like colored in like that orangish color right there are the ones that typically students tend to get a little bit more naturally. Okay? So for example, 40 hours of community service, right? So if you volunteer at Sunday school, at your church, if you help family friends move or do something to service the community, those are community service hours. Okay? 2+ high school athletics and activities. If you're a 2-sport or 3-sport athlete, you already have one of your post-secondary assets, okay, because you participated in 2+ athletics or activities. Or if you do band and volleyball, or if you do band and track, or whatever it might be. Okay, so athletics or activities count as long as you have 2. 90% attendance in high school. So if you are just simply showing up and making it to school a majority of the time, okay, then that counts as one of your post-secondary assets. Okay. As far as like the academic examples, if you get an ACT score of a 21 or higher, you guys just took like the pre-ACT, right? When you take the ACT your junior year, if you get a 21 or higher, that counts as one of your academic examples. 21 is also what's recommended for those that are essentially like college bound, so it's recommended that you get 21 on your ACT. 9+ college hours. So your junior and senior year, if you take college credit speech, and then you take psychology and sociology, okay? Those are 3 classes. Each college class counts as 3 hours typically. Some of them count as 5. But if you have 9 college hours, you also get to knock something off of your post-secondary assets.
State assessment, 3 or 4 is on there too. You're getting ready to take state assessments in a couple months.
Yeah. Senior project and senior exit interview. This is something that we make you guys do anyways, and so it's already kind of built into your like graduation plan, so to speak. You guys do this through your advisories, your senior year. You guys will do one of those senior exit interviews, projects, presentations, and that will knock off one of your post-secondary assets as well. Okay, so we already basically have one built in for you. You just have to get the other one. Okay, and some of you guys are already doing that. If, like I said, you're in 2 sports or activities, 90% attendance, that kind of stuff. Okay, college credit. So you guys can start taking classes for college credit sophomore year. Again, sometimes it's not necessarily recommended. Okay, it just depends on what your future plans are and how disciplined and how focused you guys are going to be as sophomores. Because those grades that you get in those college courses stay on your college transcript and contribute to your college GPA. Okay, so if you're like, yeah, I'm locked in, like I'm gonna get good grades next year, I can do this like dual credit, college credit class, then okay, great. Okay, but just remember that those grades from those college credit classes will follow you into your college transcript as well. If you're thinking about doing 2 years of a block program, you also, again, want to see a counselor to kind of create a plan for how that would work. Some of you guys might have heard upperclassmen talk about the block programs and stuff like that, but that's basically when you get to leave the school and go do some type of like trade or like some type of like technical school classes for 4 hours a day. Okay, so if you're interested in welding, if you're interested in cybersecurity, criminal justice, EMT, healthcare, that type of stuff, that all starts junior year. So your sophomore year, you want to be locked in, knocking some of this stuff out so that you have a little bit more flexibility in your senior year. Okay, like I said, you guys have a lot more options this year, this upcoming year as sophomores as far as the electives and the different types of classes you can take, okay? You guys do not want to come in and like have us pick all of your electives for you. You guys want to try to figure out, like, you know, what am I good at? What am I interested in? What do I maybe want to do for the rest of my life? And then start looking at your enrollment sheet and the different electives here to see what type of classes you might want to take or you might want to try out, okay? There is no harm in trying out something that you don't know if you're going to be good at, you've never done, just to see if you're going to like it, okay? For example, when I was in high school, I took an accounting class and I was really, really good at it, but I was like, I don't want to sit at a desk and do accounting for 8 hours a day. That would suck. Right? For her, for me, I'm very opinionated, clearly. But for some people, that's like definitely a career choice, and that's definitely something that people would love to do, right? They don't necessarily want the same things I want, right? So all of those little things that you guys are doing on Zella right now, when it says like your learning style and your like personality style, and like all of those different quizzes and stuff that say what type of learner are you, what type of worker are you, that's what you guys can start kind of applying to these classes. Okay, kind of start playing around with and exploring. You guys can look over the course curriculum guide on the counseling website, or if you guys go to Zello and click on any class, it'll have a class description for you. So if you're like, what the heck is nutrition and wellness? I have no idea what that is. Go click on the class description and it will give you a little overview of like what you might be doing or like what the main focus is. Okay, so curriculum guide on the counseling website or Zello, if you click on the name. You guys are basically just going to take your enrollment sheet and you're going to put X's next to the classes you would like to take. If you look at it, you'll notice that some of the different classes have one little dash next to them and some of them have two. If there's one dash, that just means it's a semester long. If it has two dashes, that means it's a year-long course. Okay? So all in all, you need 14 X's because you need 7 classes first semester and 7 classes second semester. You guys will also put 4 little A's on your paper somewhere because as, you know, still freshmen, you guys are kind of lower on the totem pole. And some of those classes might be like filled out by the time you get around to uploading and downloading your guys' stuff. Okay? So make sure for the alternates, you guys put stuff that you guys might actually be interested in doing because there could be a chance that you might get slated for one of those classes. Advanced weights and lifetime fitness. If you're interested in advanced weights, you guys have to fill out essentially like an application. You can mark it on your paper and you'll get sent an application for Mr. LaCure to consider placing you in advanced weights.
You'll mark regular strength and conditioning, and if you fill out the application and are accepted, you'll get moved to advanced weights.
Yes. Okay, same thing for lifetime fitness. If you're interested in lifetime fitness, there is like an approval process that goes along with that. So just because you select it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get it. You have to fill out the application and then get approved. Okay.
I was going to say choir. The way we do choir is do your best guess on what class you're going to be in next year, and then after tryouts, we just move you into the class you got into. You guys are pretty good at guessing, I've found over the years, of what you'll be in. But just because you might mark magicals on your sheet doesn't mean you'll be the guy. You have to try out, and then if you get in it, we'll move you in, okay?
Okay, really quickly, as far as newer classes, these are just classes that got added or that we want to promote a little bit more that might have been new this year, but maybe didn't get the attention that they deserve. One of the classes is World Geography. So again, that's one of the social studies electives that you can take in order to get your graduation requirement met. There's Music Appreciation. Music Appreciation is dual credit, which means that you can get college credit for that class. For Music Appreciation, that does and that would count towards a lot of general education requirements for different colleges because typically they require that you have some type of like art appreciation or music appreciation class. So that's another good option. Photo imaging is one that was new this year. That again, we're trying to promote a little bit more. So if you're interested in like photography or like photo editing, like maybe you want to be a photographer in the future, that's a good option. The prereq for that is that you do have to take art, design, and fundamentals. So if you haven't taken that class, you would have to do that one first before you can take photography. Graphic design, okay, so if you feel like you're creative, kind of on the graphic design side of things. Print and design, which is where you guys can print t-shirts, print on mugs. It's basically a printing class. Again, I think the prereq for that one is art, design, and fundamentals. There is also an agriculture block, so if you're someone who's interested in agriculture, farming, etc., there is a block for plants and animals. So 2 different options there. I know I talked about block programs and how they don't start until your junior year. If you are interested in the ag block, that can
It's not for college credit.
Can be an option sophomore year. Math insights and language and literacy, that just basically depends on your math or your ELA teacher. Some of you guys right now are taking Algebra 1 and Math Insights. So the class is paired with Algebra 1, basically just for people who maybe need a little bit of extra support. Same thing for language and literacy. Okay, it's just basically like a reading support class. But that would depend on your math or ELA teacher. Okay, they would recommend you for it. And then culinary arts is now year long. So if you took culinary essentials this year and you really liked it, and you want to take that chef pathway, or like food service, food industry pathway, culinary arts is now year long as well. Okay, just a few final things before we kind of finish up. If you transferred to BCHS from another school, some of your classes and credits and things like that might be a little wonky and yellow. So you might need our help enrolling if you transfer from another school, or if you were like new to Valley this year. If you need modified classes, you guys also might need our help enrolling. We went ahead and already put the modified classes on people's Zellos. If you need modified classes, you know. If you don't need them, you don't. Okay? And then if you failed multiple classes this year, okay, especially if they're core classes or graduation requirements. So if you have failed English, math, science, or PE, you do have to retake it. Okay? So if you failed classes, basically you might need to help you enroll because we might need to put those on your Zello and lock those in. The other option obviously is summer school, that does cost some money.
You still are forced to enroll in it in Zello.
Yeah. We'd recommend you for that, but you guys do still have to enroll in anything that you failed this year and next year, and that is going to take away some of your elective options if you failed something. Okay, quickly, as far as Zello goes, you guys might remember this. I know you guys use Zello in middle school too, so you guys are probably tired of hearing about Zello, but Zello is really, really nice because it will tell you everything you need to enroll in. If you're looking at this sheet and this just looks like a bunch of gibberish and like really like, what the heck is that? Then go to Zello, look at your Zello, and it will tell you what classes you need to add. So at the top there, you guys will see that it says add English 10. That tells you that you need to come over to your enrollment sheet and check sophomore English, okay? And then you guys basically just go down the line. So you'll have your English, your math, your science, your social studies. That'll take up 4 hours. And then you have 3 hours of electives each semester, like I said, unless you need to retake something. But then you can go to add electives. You can decide if you guys want to start knocking out your year independent requirements like speech and financial literacy. You don't have to. If you do want to do block programs and stuff like that next year, it could be encouraged. And then the alternates also go on your Zello as well. So like those little A's that you put as backup on your sheet in case you don't get the classes that you want, will also be put on Zello. And then at the bottom it will just say ready to submit. You submit it, it'll lock it in. If you need to change anything, you need to email us so that we can unlock it so you can make your changes.
If a red dot comes up, hover on it, and it'll tell you what's wrong with it. You can email us, or you can delete it if it needs a prereq or something like that. If you think it's wrong, email us. We can look at it and possibly fix it.
Okay, so when you're done, your paper that your advisory teacher has given you or will give you will have 14 X's and 4 A's. Okay, so double check, count, make sure you have everything that you need to have on here. You also need to sign it, and you need to have your parents sign it. Okay, you sign it, your parents sign it. That's why you guys have basically 2 weeks to get this paper in, because we know sometimes it takes a while for you to get a parent signature, take it home, remember, all that good stuff. But you guys can begin choosing and enrolling in your courses on Zello. These sheets are due February 21st, which is basically 2 weeks from tomorrow. Okay, again, we're the counselors. These are our emails, and these are like our responsibilities. So if you are with Ms. McDonald, your last name is A from G, Miss Upmore, H through O. I'm Miss Stanson, I'm E to Z.
Email us with questions. Again, pull up your Zello and have your sheet in front of you. Do them at the same, kind of look at them at the same time. They are designed to help you. If you have questions, the best thing to do is email us, just because we can respond to that so fast. Sometimes it's simply, you just do something and say, take care of it, rather than having it come cleared out, which you can. There are questions we might be able to address.
Anyone have questions real quick? Yeah.